Hello and welcome to helpyourmath.com. In this video, we are going to talk about the three main types of probability. And they are empirical, theoretical, and subjective. Let's look at each one. First up, we have empirical, also known as the relative frequency approximation of probability. Empirical is much shorter. So what is this one? This is where we observe or conduct a procedure and count the number of times an event occurs. Based on these actual results, we can approximate the probability with the probability of an event is the number of times the event occurs over the number of times the procedure was repeated. So there are traffic studies that will do this. They might look at an intersection to see how many people are running red lights and then make an action from there to figure out what needs to happen. And there are many examples of where we would apply empirical probability. In this example, speaking of dangerous intersections, a survey conducted in a neighborhood asked residents to rate traffic safety in their community. So far, 250 people have responded to the survey, as shown in the frequency table below. Based on the results, what is the probability the next resident asked will say that it is a major concern? So we have our not concerned, our moderately concerned, and our very concerned. So a major concern, I would assume those are the people in the very concerned category. And so far we had 48 of the neighbors out of, it says 250 up here, so I'm going to use 250. And we can either simplify the fraction or convert to a percent. It probably makes more sense to convert to a percent because that'll be a little bit more clear what's going on. So when I convert to a percent, I get 19.2%. So it seems like, and there's various ways we can say this. This is just under 20%. 1 in 5 residents is very concerned about traffic. And for whatever reason the survey is being conducted, they can make a decision based on the research that they've found to be true. The fact that 165 of these people are moderately concerned, I would say, is a problem. This is probably something that needs to be addressed. But we don't know what the next person is going to say, but there's, just about a 20% chance that they will be very concerned. Next up, we have a classical approach to probability, also known as the theoretical probability. If all events have an equal chance of occurring, then the probability of outcome A occurring is given by probability of A is the number of ways A can occur over the number of all possible outcomes. In the last video, I had marbles in a bag. It's that type of probability. If I have 20 marbles in a bag and there's some red and some blue and some yellow, what's the probability that I pull out a red marble? Well, we would look at the number of red and put it over 20 because there were 20 marbles in the bag. This is also the heads or tails question, true or false. That would be the same type of question where it's, you have a 50-50 chance of being correct, but you have a 1/2 chance of being incorrect. Rolling a die, also we can look at the theoretical probability. If you go to a casino and you look at the roulette wheel, they'll have the previous numbers, what's come up in the past 20 spins. But, the probability of it landing on any number, it's still ultimately a theoretical probability. It doesn't matter if it landed on 13, 14 of the last 20 times, there's still a 1 in, I think, 38 chance that it will land on 13. All right, so let's use these theoretical probabilities. We have a 6-sided die, and again, I mentioned this in the last video, but die is singular for dice. Find the probability of each event. First, rolling a 2 on a 6-sided die. So there's one way to roll a 2, and that's if the 2 dots are showing up. We might say the probability of a 2, there's one favorable outcome out of 6 possible outcomes. I like the fraction. We can also convert to a percent, and it's about 16.7%. Event S is rolling a 7 on a 6-sided die. Well, if you think very carefully, you might know there is no 7 on a 6-sided die. That's impossible. There's no favorable outcomes out of the 6, and there is a 0% chance you're going to roll a 7. Or there's event F, rolling a number less than 5. So the numbers less than 5 would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one has 4 favorable outcomes. We would say 4 out of 6, which is 2 out of 3, which is 2 out of 3 is 66.7%. And the last one, the subjective probability. This probability is that an event A occurs It's estimated by using the knowledge of the relevant circumstances or an individual's belief that an event will occur. This can be very, very opinion-based or based on feeling. So of the three, this one is can vary widely from person to person, from event to event. So for example, what is the probability you will be attacked by a bear tomorrow? If you live in a big city or the suburbs, you're probably going to say pretty close to 0. But if you live in Glacier National Park, you probably have a better chance of being attacked, maybe a 10% chance. I don't know. I don't know how often bear attacks happen. I think it's pretty unlikely all around, but depending on your circumstances, it could be higher based on where you are or very, very low. And now let's try some practice questions. Which type of probability is being demonstrated in each example? I encourage you to pause the video and try these for yourself. Okay, did you get them done? How'd you do? So first up, we have what is the probability you will get a new phone in the next month? That would be totally subjective. It could depend on the day, it could depend on the person, but everyone's probability, every single minute could potentially be different. So that would be a subjective probability. To determine if your flight from New York to Miami will arrive on time, you collect data of all flights from New York to Miami in the past month and record how many were on time, delayed, or canceled. This would be empirical. You're looking at a list to see what the probability based on the previous month's flight patterns, and then you're applying it to yours. So will it be on time? What percent chance does your flight have? How about letter C? What is the probability Shohei Ohtani will hit a home run during his next at-bat? This again would be empirical because we're looking at how many home runs he's hit, how many at-bats he's had in this season. And if you listen to the commentators, they might do against the pitcher that he's at-bat against, overall lifetime, how many home runs versus how many at-bats. So there's all sorts of different empirical probabilities that could be applied to determine if he'll get a home run in his next at-bat. And lastly, the Pick 3 lottery awards a prize based on picking the 3 digits, 0 through 9, in the correct order. This last one would be theoretical, because we would have the probability you pick the first one correct is 1 in 10. The second one is 1 in 10. The third one is 1 in 10. There's a 1 in 1,000 chance that you're going to pick the correct digits in the correct order. That would be theoretical. These have been some examples of the types of probability. Thank you for stopping by.